I'm Tedward and you're watching Winding Road Magazine. Today is a really cool car because this is a 2006 987.1 Cayman, which is really the deal of our generation. You can find these for under $30,000, which leaves room for modifications. For example, this particular car was $25,000 when the owner purchased it. DBAM on Instagram, I'll put a link below. He's modified this car with the GT4 bumper done by Sensosio Auto Couture in Natick, Massachusetts, and built his own cage. Now, if you're curious about what this car sounds like, a lot of folks underestimate the Cayman. This exhaust is a full IPE build and it opens up that flat six. So just the same way I was surprised when I drove the 2014 Panamera GTS and got a taste of that beautiful V8 rumble that I had no idea existed, the Cayman sounds really good and very Porsche. So good, in fact, that Car Throttle picked up a video of this car when we took the engine cover off and blasted through some back roads.
You look like a goof.
I am a goof, man. This is a valved IPE exhaust. Are the valves currently open or are they closed right now?
They're currently closed.
Okay, so it starts in a closed mode. So listen to this. And we'll open them up. Wonderful. I'm about those Beats. I'm not a Beats fan, but I like the color.
It's like almost Miami blue.
Before you comment, the car's warm. It's been driving for like 45 minutes. Are there any suspension modifications on this car?
The suspension mods are Tarot sway bar links and RSS toe links in the rear. And the RSS toe links are necessary when you do lowering springs, which is this.
Okay. What's the big exclamation warning?
The exclamation warning is just because I have like a tail light warning or a reverse light warning that always comes up. Even though they're working fine. It's, you know, one of those aftermarket tail light kind of deals.
Yeah, you might notice that when we did the walk around of the car, it doesn't have the OEM headlights or taillights. famous last words.
Yep.
So you got a lot of Redline bits in this car because you are a Redline dealer. So what's in the car? I know you've got the pedals, the floor panels.
Yeah, so I have the pedals, the like track mats, which are really nice. Removes like the factory floor mats and replaces them with these metal mats that like won't get in your way while driving hard and allow your foot to stay in one place without sliding around or losing your position, especially while doing heel toes where your heel position is so important.
Yeah, this car is definitely easier with these pedals to heel toe than
the pedal extenders make a big difference on making sure that you don't end up missing the gas pedal when you're flipping.
Yeah, Porsches tend to have a really high up brake, and like Porsche braking always feels like you're pushing on a brick. So if you're deep enough to like comfortably reach the gas pedal, it's because you're like 8/10 in the brakes already. So it's kind of hard to do like normal driving heel toe in a Porsche, whereas like with these pedals you get a little more articulation.
Yeah. Other than that, the Redline foam mount, which was actually developed in this car. This is like the car that they used for developing this product.
Whoops.
And then other than that, as a Redline tow hook, and yeah, I think that's it for now.
I like this wheel. You've got the Alcantara. It's worn pretty well. I mean, you've had this in for at least a season now, yeah?
Yeah, I've had it in for probably 5 or 6 months.
I'm sure there's going to be comments aplenty about why these cars are actually cheap regarding the IMS bearing. So up until 2009, all Porsches, 911s, Caymans, Boxsters, they had an IMS bearing which could fail and grenade your motor. After 2009, which is when the 987.2 was brought to us, they removed that weak link. But a lot of folks put the LN Engineering ceramic IMS bearing in these cars as kind of a fail-safe. They still can fail because they're not actively oiled. So there are actually actively oiled systems that you can use as well. But the truth is, I know plenty of folks driving 996s and early 997s and plenty of these guys. And I haven't really seen many grenade.
No, the chance of it's pretty low. And the biggest thing that causes the issue is the car just not being driven enough, or the car just not being driven hard enough. Because once you drive it hard enough, the oil is really able to move around, and it basically makes it so that's not going to be an issue. But if the car is only driven, 3/10, then it's going to be hard for that oil to completely cycle around and make its way to the IMS.
Yeah.
So that's when the IMS ends up drying out and not having any lubricant and then failing.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of experts who are going to comment below on that, but to be honest, like the IMS bearing issue used to really terrify me, but now for under $30,000 to get this much car for that money, it just, I don't know, it's not enough of a deterrent for me. In the .2s, if you are afraid, you're going to have to spend an extra $15,000 roughly to get a .2 in similar condition. So if it's that important to you, then the .2 is there for you. It's waiting.
Yep.
Kind of like a baby GT3. It's like a GT3 Lite. The Redline sneaks up on you a little bit, so I apologize. I tapped that rev limiter for a second, but these aren't really high revving motors. They only go to about 7,200 RPM, something like that.
Yeah.
Just still plenty fast. And this isn't a straight line car. although it sounds great in a straight line. You've put 275s in the rear, and I think, what, 245s up front, or two?
Yeah, 245s up front, which is the stock size.
That's a lot of rubber.
Yeah, for not much power, really.
And this has an open differential. All the Caymans had an open differential except for the Cayman R. 996 Targa, you don't see many of those. IMS, buddy.
Should we show him what his car could sound like?
Not great roads. Driving in Boston is a unique experience, and it may not look friendly or inviting at all to anybody watching right now, and that's probably because it's not. But there's some bizarre way that everyone just kind of gets where they're going, and yeah, you know what? Sometimes you got to make those right-hand passes. Got this 996 coming up the left. Hopefully not ruining his day by showing him what the IPE exhaust sounds like. So interior wise, you'll notice we've got Alcantara here. We've already talked about the wheel. You've got a short shift kit on this?
Yeah, just the factory 997 short shift kit.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah.
When it comes to shortcomings on this car, part of it is age related. Part of it is just that, you know, everyone always says, well, it's not a 911. And I think that a couple important things this car could do with if you were to really build it out to perfect. Limited slip differential, definitely available. You can do that relatively cheap, probably $1,500.
Yeah.
And then a lightweight flywheel. So chances are if you're buying one of these cars in the secondhand market, you may want to refresh it. And you're already in there doing a clutch, so throw in a lightweight flywheel and this thing would be a lot more rev happy. But that being said, it's not rev happy.
Yeah, once you get used to it, it's not so heavy or slow at revving up that it's really an issue. It's just it would be a bit more enjoyable. But it's still easily heel towable or downshiftable.
The interesting thing about Caymans, right? It's a mid-engine car, and it's kind of exactly what you want. The front end always feels a little vague, a little light, and it's not the steering feel that's vague. It's just that it feels like it's kind of propped up off the ground. It changes though once you commit to a corner and you actually put it in. It all comes together. So there's always that initial kind of like uh-oh feeling with these cars when you go to turn into a corner, and then it just hooks. So the front axle in these are kind of funky, and I know a lot of folks, and I don't know exactly what they're doing to them, but a lot of folks put in different end lengths or bushings or whatever just to kind of sharpen that up.
I like his bumper sticker. There's no crying in baseball except for in New York.
Oh, don't we love Boston? Is he letting me go? No. All right, so here we've discovered one flaw of the Cayman. Rear 3/4 visibility. I love this car. The way it does, like we talked about how it kind of jumps a little over a bump or whatever, you know, that's something that a GT4 doesn't do. And that's technically a point in favor of the GT4. But the reality is this is such a driver's car. Cayman makes me feel like I'm connected to everything, my inputs matter, and I can do it at sub 100 miles an hour speeds.
Yeah.
The GT4, I'm unable to experience the car unless I'm just putting everyone in the world in danger.
Yeah, and one of the biggest selling points for this car is hydraulic steering.
Oh, actually, that's a really good point.
Yeah, because 987 was the last gen, or the only generation of Cayman to ever get hydraulic steering.
Yeah, the 987s were just good, and people overlook them. They're typecast as hairdressers' cars, and I think if you can get over that and go drive one, it's not going to be quite as shouty and obnoxious as this in its raw OEM form, but it doesn't take much to do that if that's what you're looking for. And this is a very livable, drivable car. So I think we can conclude here with the fact that the 987.1 Cayman is probably the deal of the century at under $30,000, as long as you're willing to take that very minimal IMS bearing risk. But put a little money into it. Enjoy it and drive the heck out of it on track, on road. You've got a big old frunk up front so you can actually fit some stuff. If you can't have a two-seater, this car just isn't in your wheelhouse, then you know you're not going to consider it. But if it is in your wheelhouse and you are considering a two-seater, this actually has quite a bit of storage, much more than say a 350Z. And I would take this over a 350Z every single, or a 370Z, got them old. I would take this over a Z any day of the week. This is much more approachable at limits, it's more enjoyable to drive, and it's still a Porsche. So thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and sharing. Hopefully you like the content, and if you want to see more of this car and more of David, who I actually drove across the country with in a $1,400 Miata, go check out my channel, Tedward Drives. Thanks so much.